I appoint my wife to run Turning Point USA if something happens to me. Erica would do a great job.
For months, they wouldn't release it. The video of Charlie supposedly appointing his wife to run Turning Point. We kept asking for it. Candace, this channel, a lot of you. They gave a stack of reasons not to. Then, on June 5th, they put a clip out, and the Daily Mail ran it as the secret footage. Heads up before we get into it, you'll hear my parrot in the background through some of this. I'm trying to cut it out the best I can, but it can't really be helped today. He's got a lot to say. Pay him no mind. I'll try to cut around it so it's not so much of it. Sorry. 2 videos got us here. Days after the incident, the board made his widow CEO and chair. A woman new here by her own words.
I know I'm new here, but you'll learn. You'll learn.
On none of 11 years of tax filings. The whole case resting on one audio clip with the music turned up. In video 2, I pulled every Charlie clip out of that MFest 2025 intro and tried to find where each one came from, against an index of over 18,000 of his recordings. Most of them I could place. A real speech here, another TPUSA production there. The I Put My Wife line was the one stretch that matched nothing. Not a pre-death recording, not any other production they've put out. And that, on its own, doesn't disprove their story. If that line came from a real private recording of his, it's simply not one I could find. Along the way, I even turned up ad reads in his voice on the audio-only podcasts after he was gone. New here? Start with those 2. Links below. If you're caught up, then let's get into what they put out. They ran it as the intro before Erica's keynote at the Women's Leadership Summit. The moment I saw the announcement for this year's summit, one thing stood out. A missing word. It used to be the Young Women's Leadership Summit. Turning Point was built on the young. That was the whole point. He's gone and the young quietly drops off. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's the first small sign of what shifts when someone else is steering. The focus sliding off of our country's youth right where he kept it. And look at how it even got out. TPUSA never posted this footage on their own channels. They played it as the summit intro, and the clip itself reached the rest of us through the Daily Mail, the same outlet they handed the story to back in May. Twice now, rather than post the footage themselves, they've routed it through a reporter. On that reporter's post, Charlie Spearing's over 1 million views, even X's crowd couldn't place it. It drew a community note. The released clip uses footage from Charlie Kirk's 2023 ActCon event, with Building the Machine branding, not the August 2025 Aspen donor event. Not the August 2025 Aspen donor retreat. Unfortunately, the note is not correct. I can see why someone landed on ActCon 2023. Building the Machine for Victory was the title of Charlie's opening remarks there, but here is Turning Point Action's own ActCon 2023 video. Blue Arena, handheld mic, not the red electoral map podium they released. The note saw the slogan and guessed the venue, so it's not ActCon. The footage is sourced to nowhere anyone can prove. Or it was, until today. As I'm finishing this, TPUSA spokesman Andrew Clavette, the man who runs Charlie's show, went on record and placed it. Aspen 2025. The event they call Investors. He even posted a photo of the room, dressed exactly like the clip. The red map, the Building the Machine backdrop, the podium. Good, I'll take it. The room is real. I'm not gonna pretend they built a soundstage. It would be a strange thing to fake the easy part. Look at what they keep doing. They'll show you the room, they'll show you the podium, the backdrop, the 2 events side by side. They claim they showed a Daily Mail reporter the whole video, let him watch it start to finish and write it up. They scored an audio montage for MFest. They'll show you everything that sits around this video. The one thing they won't show you is the full, unedited original clip. They keep proving the frame and hiding the picture. And the frame was never the question. A real room doesn't make a real video. there is an entity problem stacked on top. The line everyone quotes is, "I appoint my wife to run Turning Point USA," the charity, the 501c3. The Daily Mail described the Aspen Room as Turning Point USA donors. But nothing on this stage is TPUSA. The arrow logos, the building the machine turnout pitch, that belongs to Turning Point Action, the separate 501c4 political arm that runs the ballot chasing and the campaigns.
What?
Yep.
I'm also running Students for Trump, which is a non-Turning Point USA thing. It's a Turning Point Action thing, 501c4 organization, so I'm going to be running that.
So the footage offered up as proof of a Turning Point USA succession is shot on a Turning Point Action stage. Two different organizations. And the clip is shorter than the audio they played in December. The great board, God forbid, they'll figure it out.
A lot of this could be done without me, and I believe that. I mean, from the high school department, the college department, let's make Turning Point so big that it can survive beyond just the founder. A lot of organizations and groups, as soon as a founder leaves, it just kind of collapses. A lot of my job is not always in the day-to-day details. It's very much vision casting, very much driving success. But we have a great board, and God forbid if something happens, they'll figure it out.
That whole lead-in is cut. It's also shorter than the first Daily Mail piece. The May article TPUSA gave an exclusive screening to. That one lays out the whole exchange. The donor's question and Charlie's "what a great question" quoted word for word. The appointment lines word for word. Only his reasoning in between paraphrased. The June video keeps just the back half.
I appoint my wife to run Turning Point USA if something happens to me. Erica would do a great job.
And one detail in that article still nags at me. The reporter says he watched the whole video, and he prints Charlie's lines word for word, right through the appointment. With one exception, the reasoning in between. Charlie's founder-led organizations fail, so make this one vision-led setup. He only paraphrases there. And that's the one stretch of the whole exchange there's no release recording of. The lines that there's a recording of, he quotes exactly. The one piece there isn't, he summarizes. For a guy who says he watched the entire thing, that's a curious place. The only place to suddenly go vague. Oddly enough, the same paraphrase not quote pattern also fits Erica's Megyn Kelly retelling. Look at the artifact itself. The clip they handed over. Is the June clip the December audio with new pictures laid over it? Back in December, they played this same line to the M-Fest crowd as Erica walked out. So I lined the two recordings up against each other to answer one question. Same recording or not? Here's how to read it. If the two are the same audio, the score comes back around 0.83. If they are unrelated, it sits near 0. The June clip against the December one lands at about 0.40, dead in the middle. It's not a clean copy of what they aired, but not a stranger to it either. The 0.83 same recording bar is higher than the about 0.3 to 0.5 same source numbers from the audio deep dive because this is a matched cut, same cleanup test versus the second video's cross-cut comparisons. So it's one of two things, a different recording of the line or the same one degraded so hard it half falls apart. This test can't tell those apart, and that's the limit of what it asks. The AI question belongs to the detector, and resemble does come back fake for this audio as well. Oddly enough, it reads the video as likely real, but it's so blurry that I can't possibly take that seriously. The video is super blurry, and the other videos are not. It's not like they forgot their cameras at home and ran out of iPhones and had to shoot with a flip phone from 10 years ago. The detail or sharpness here is at about 33 against Erica's keynote at the same summit being 321. That is not their camera, it's this one clip. Critics keep coming back to Charlie's eye in the release. One eye half closed. Here's Charlie on camera from that same day, 2 weeks before he died. The Alex Clark interview, same Aspen trip, him speaking. His eyes look normal, and the release is so soft, it's degraded past the point of proving anything, and they released it as the proof. Watch his hands here. He points one way on the first line, a different way on the second. If he's pointing at whoever asked the question, it'd be the same spot both times. It isn't. So who is he pointing at? It's certainly not Erica. She allegedly wasn't even there. And the tools that did come back real, the video model, the lip sync test, that doesn't really work on a clip that is this recompressed and blurry and whatever else is going on here. Real there means the tool couldn't tell. It doesn't mean the clip is real. Everything rides on what Charlie said at that donor event, so pin one thing down. Was Erica even there? By her own telling, no. Here's how Erica opened the whole story with Megyn Kelly last November.
Before all this happened, he had a event where he had some donors at.
He had an event, not we.
And one of the first questions they asked was, God forbid if something happens to you, like what would happen next to Turning Point? And Charlie made a really interesting point. He said companies, example, Apple, Macintosh, he said they're founder-led. He said, but what I have built will one day, if I'm not around, be vision-led. And he had made mention at the end, Erica will do a great job running it.
Then tells you how she knows any of it.
And when I watched that video this week, it really put into perspective.
Erica learned what her husband supposedly said the same way the rest of us did, off a video, months later.
What?
Not from the room. Mags, the attendee, was in the room. She says Erica wasn't. And Candace's donors said the same.
Donors who were in attendance in Aspen are telling me that Charlie never said this. Not only that, but they are telling me that multiple times throughout, when he had an opportunity to even bring up Erica, he did not. Apparently, Erica was up in Aspen, but was not at this exact presentation when the questions were asked. There was even a smaller dinner that took place later with just about 12 people in attendance that took place after the presentation. They asked him about his future plans for Turning Point, and Erica was never mentioned.
So the one person it's all about, Erica, wasn't even in the room. Her whole account of what her husband said starts with watching a video, months later.
Oh.
They've given a whole stack of reasons for keeping it locked away. And the reasons keep changing. The first one landed the moment Candace started demanding it. You'd only call it AI anyway, so what's the point? Candace, we haven't bothered playing it because we know psychopathic predators like yourself do not care what is true or false, and normal evidentiary logic has no effect on you. Playing the audio at MFest already wasn't enough. You'll obviously just say it's AI or a hologram. Now that they've put something out, let's retire that one. Predicting a criticism isn't refuting it. You can call a shot that's true. It's poisoning the well. Discredit the doubt before anyone can weigh it, so the footage never has to stand on its own. You don't write the alibi before you show the evidence. Real footage doesn't need one. If your first move is ignore the people who call this fake, it's because you already know what it looks like. An honest organization shows the footage and lets it speak. They scripted the rebuttal, then went looking for a clip to fix it. The next reason came later, and you don't have to take my word that this is the play. The spokesman runs it himself. Before he reaches a single fact in that post, he's waving the criticism off by name. A missing chin mole, then AI, then, his words, a sucker's game. He brands the doubts bad faith so the footage never has to answer them. That's the move out in the open. The next reason came later. We don't release donor footage. It exposed the people in the room. Well, look at the clip. It's one man on a stage. Just Charlie. No donors in frame, no tables, no other faces, nobody to protect. They could have put this exact shot out a year ago, but hopefully the full thing and with no weird cuts or music. You know what I mean. Obviously, privacy was never what stopped them. Liars, liars, pants on fires. Fire. And they released it anyway, cut on both ends, shorter than the audio they aired, so none of these was ever the real reason. And here is the newest turn. 2 days after they put this clip on the summit screens as the reveal, that same spokesman writes that he finds the video largely irrelevant, that the board decided on Charlie's privately communicated wishes, and that should be the end of it. One thing to say about footage you unveiled to a packed hall. He sat down and wrote the whole thing out. 7 points, the room photo, the event comparison, the whole essay, when he could have ended every last argument by posting the unaltered full clip. He wrote the essay instead. I'm not sure why, it could have been so easy. If you missed the first 2 videos, Erica's not on a single one of 11 years of tax filings. And she said it herself on a TPUSA stage. She's new here.
I know I'm new here, but you'll learn.
And then there's this.
Thank you for being the reason why AmFest and Turning Point USA and my husband and the way they've been able to build things, thank you for being a part of that.
Notice they, not we. So why is this one clip worth all of this? Well, because of what Charlie spent years telling everyone else Erica's role was.
Erica is holding down the fort at home.
I am not a slave to the master. I am his helpmate. I am the guardian of the home. That is my domain.
In addition to being an incredible mother and phenomenal wife, she also runs a ministry in her spare time that helps you read the entire Bible in 1 year. It is called BibleIn365.com. And she also runs Proclaim Streetwear, which is the best Christian clothing line in the country. They have a booth out there that you can support. So she's an entrepreneur as much as anything else. But I highly encourage you guys, BibleIn365.com.
Her own things. Proclaim Streetwear, Bible in 365, her own podcast, separate from Turning Point.
I want a country where the mom does not have to go work if she does not want to go work. It's that simple.
This is the movement that tells young women to submit and come home. Its founder put his own wife at home, guardian of the home, her own adventures, never once on Turning Point's filings. You cannot seat that woman in the founder's chair and expect that base to fully accept it. Not on a board say-so. You need the founder himself on camera giving his blessing. And that's what this video really is. Not evidence, but a permission slip. And they keep adding to the story. 9 days after what happened to Charlie, on Charlie's own show, executive producer Andrew Clovett.
You want to know a crazy?
I love that.
You want to know a crazy thing I just realized last night? So, Andrew Breitbart dies in 2012.
March 1st.
That inspires Charlie Kirk to start Turning Point USA in 2012. Guess what else happened in 2012? And we talk about people getting prepared and these little like nuggets that you think about. I just realized this. Erica Kirk won Miss Arizona in 2012 and hung out with Donald Trump in 2012 because of that.
Look at what that does. Charlie founds Turning Point in 2012. Erica wins Miss Arizona and meets Trump in 2012. So, therefore, God was preparing them. A board picked her in 8 days, but the story you're handed is that it was written years in advance. You don't build a destiny story for a decision that was supposed to be obvious. Different show, different day. Clovett again, this time across from Megyn Kelly. He drops this one and slides right past it.
In the immediate hours afterwards, Erica got a call from somebody very important. I'll leave that vague out of privacy, but she got a call from somebody very important. And the question was, what do you know? Sort of asking how much of what's going on behind the scenes and with the relationship, like, what do you know? And her reply back was, everything. I know everything.
Ooh, a call from somebody very important. Won't say who. Her answer, everything. I know everything. That is not creepy and suspicious at all. And that's the tell. You only keep a name vague when saying it out loud would hurt you, not when it would help. So where does all of this leave us? I'm not gonna oversell it. I can't sit here and prove to you definitively that it's AI. The detectors call it fake. The picture is wrecked, and it's not a clean copy of the audio they aired, but none of that by itself proves a machine made it. What I can give you is the honest fork, and both ends of it are not great. 1, it's bad AI. Generated, then blurred to bury the seams. That's why the detectors trip and the picture falls apart. 2, it started real. Some other context, maybe even an offhand line or a joke. You can tell he's smiling, and it got cut out of its surroundings and crushed in quality until it's indistinguishable from option 1. 2 things on screen point to something deliberate either way. The first, they never show the full answer. It's cut on both ends. The second, right between the 2 sentences, they cut away to a shot of the 2 of them kissing.
Something happens to me. Erica would do a great job.
And it lands right on the seam where the 2 halves of the quote join together. You don't cut away in the middle of a thought like that by accident, and it's the same reason you don't show the whole answer. There is something on either side of these words they don't want you seeing. Both ends land in the same place. A clip processed until no tool and no viewer can check it. The one thing that would settle which way it goes is the clean, full, unedited original. And there isn't even a donor to blur out here. Look at the shot. It's just Charlie alone on a stage. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. They clearly have it, but they refuse to show it. And that's the part that gets to me. Over and over and over again, they spin in circles, tossing out another short, low-grade scrap of something, hoping that if they do it enough times, enough people end up taking it as true, banking on most folks being too busy or too trusting to ever stop and look closely. All that being said, they finally put something out. It's cut on both ends, and it's blurred past the point of checking, and it still reads fake. And the story around it keeps growing a new piece every time the last one cracks. The board made her CEO, but they only ever called it Charlie's Call. So if it wasn't his, whose was it? One last thing, the heckler during Erica's WLS speech.
Withstands all. It's important to remember that happiness comes and goes, and I pray that you find it. That's an important moment. Love you guys. That's an important moment because that just showed duty to faithfulness gives life meaning. And we must pray for our enemies and those that do not feel like their life has meaning. And that's a perfect example of that. A perfect example. You pray for your enemies. You pray for those that persecute you. That's not the enemy. We know who the real enemy is. God bless you. Thank you. I have one person I listen to. I got you. I got you. But God's mercy.
The protester comes through crystal clear. They never do. And it's so obvious here. Erica is fighting this like half smile that's going on as she folds it into this sermon like, oh, I deal with all of this stuff. Look at me dealing with it. I got this under control. And goes to like read a response as what it looks like. It literally looks like she needs to read the response to the heckler. I'm not saying anything here, but why would you have to read a response to the heckler unless it was literally scripted into the speech? It looks weird. And she's like so happy with herself, like, no dust on my shoulder. Sorry, it was just too on the nose. Come on. Everything except this chapter just got posted from my YouTube channel members, but there's some big news I wanted to include while I have the chance. Candace Owens now says she's had a copy of the full tape from Aspen for 7 months, and that she's putting all 3 hours of it up on her website. So the one thing they wouldn't show might finally go public. The whole presentation. Looking forward to finally solving this part of the mystery.
Campaigns, they're CEO of companies, they're moms, they're leaders in their community, in their church. Largest ever Young Women's Leadership Summit. This was back in June. 3,000 young women attended in Dallas, Texas. Here's a little summary.
Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, you can probably tell I'm not done with this one. I did not collect all this data for a couple of videos. There are more rabbit holes here in the overall mystery of this Kirk situation, and I'm not giving up on it. I'm already chasing them down, all of the different rabbit holes. There are so many. It has been crazy. So subscribe so you can catch the rest, and I apologize for the bird if you hear the bird in any of the bits earlier. I just really wanted to get this recorded so we could get this out quicker this time. If you want to help keep the digging going, there is a donation link. I also run live shows every now and then. Come hang out if you want. See you in the next one.
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.